Hello. Are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Materia Medica. And today we're going to learn one important remedy and last remedy from third year syllabus. That is the Veratrum Album. This remedy is a wonderful remedy to learn. There are many aspects and perspectives are there with this remedy. This is very acutely acting remedy, even though its action lasts for 20 to 30 days, but the pace is very fast with the Veratrum. There are many cases of Veratrum in my practice I have treated, more related with the physical complaints, but one interesting case I will going to share with you. It was a case of a young girl, young married woman. She was just 25, married 2 years before, a case of PCOD with suppressed menses. She never had menses since 3 4 months. She has already taken treatment from the gynecologist. Then she had went to the even to the first people for the treatment of her not having pregnancy. So nothing was working, and she becomes so depressed. And in that depressed mood, she was brought to me. Prior to me, she was taken to the psychiatrist also because she was behaving in an abrupt manner since last 10 15 days before coming to me. Earlier, she started saying that I'm definitely having a pregnancy. Only your instruments are not explaining that pregnancy is there. And she says, yes, I'm getting the nausea. I'm pregnant and I'm having third month of pregnancy, and I will going to give birth to a very nice child who is having the very fair skin, the blue eyes. And at another time she used to become, so if some doctor says no, there is no pregnancy, your test is negative, your sonography report shows that you are having polycystic ovarian disease, and because of which menses are not there, then she goes into the despair state. And when she enters into despair state, she starts blaming the God why she is suffering from such a thing. And this was a big problem for her. And it has started with one important thing. After 2 years of marriage, when she don't have a child, the elders in the family started blaming her. Someone have said most probably her mother-in-law had said something to her and which disturbed her. Some word which was used by the mother-in-law, and that affected her. She was from a very good family from maternal side, and she felt that how can my mother-in-law says like that, and she got so disturbed. And she said that whether I am having any value in the house, what they say. And thereafter, I lost my value even in my eyes when it was they have called me that uh, I'm not able to get pregnant. And that was the disturbed state which developed thereafter. Her honor gets wounded. And that was one important thing which has happened. And when she was talking with this, and she said, Doctor, please check again. I'm definitely pregnant. And with this, she was in a very sad mood, despair mode. And lot of sweating was there on her head, even though it was winter. Her body felt cold to touch, and her head was sweating a lot. That was interesting. whole state was a very important state. She was earlier treated. She went 10 days back to my wife also for taking consultation whether she is pregnant, and she told that you are not pregnant. And then she referred this patient that it's better to take homeopathic treatment. All her problems will get solved, and that's why she was there with me. So what were the things which indicates this is Veratrum? So better thing is that always to repertorize. And all things, whatever she has narrated, I took for the repertorization. And through, it was a Veratrum. This was just a sharing of the screen. See the rubrics which I have considered. Delusion pregnant she is. Delusion pregnant, birth to a blue-eyed baby that she is about to give. That is one more thing which I forgot to explain, that she needed a company during those time, but she was not talking to them. Company desire for taciturn, but elements from mortification, mental and emotional sequences, honor wounded aggravates, honor absence sense of, perspiration cold on head, and despair religious menses suppressed from. And through, it was Veratrum Album. All 8 rubrics covered completely with the Veratrum Album. So it was very interesting case for me. And I have given her Veratrum in high potency, 1 m potency, 3 doses, and asked her to meet me after 8 days. So actually, she was a daughter of my one of friend. So she was brought after 8 days in a very happy mood. And what has happened after getting the dose of Veratrum? Next day she got the menses. Next day she had menses. The flow persists for 5 to 6 days. And thereafter she recovered so fantastically that her mood had changed completely. And now that thought was vanished from her mind that she is pregnant. But now she is absolutely happy with the Veratrum. So I kept her on placebo. I asked her to meet me after a month, as she was given to a Nasi. So I asked her to meet me after a month. I have given placebos and I just asked to meet me after a month. After a month, she came and she got a regular period after a month. And again, it was persistent. Bleeding was persistent for 4 5 days. So medicine was acting very fantastically, and she was in a very good mood, even though she had menses. And then I told them to take a chance, and immediately next month her periods were missed. She was in a doubtful mood, came to me, and we checked. The pregnancy test was done, and pregnancy was positive. Asked her to wait for some time, don't declare it unless and until we do a USG. After a gap of 15 days, then the pregnancy test, USG was done, and USG showed the complete fetal fold with cardiac activity and everything fine. So wonderful effect with the Veratrum album, 1 m, 3 doses. It was interesting, and it was interesting to prescribe Veratrum specifically at the mental sphere or psychological sphere. So this is a wonderful remedy to be learned. There are many things which we can learn in this remedy. I will share few aspects of Veratrum in tomorrow's session. Veratrum is a very good remedy for the cholera or gastroenteritis with cold sweating, cold perspiration, with a shock condition. All of a sudden, patient goes into the shock state, and that circulatory failure, where the cold sweating persistent, specifically on head, one must think of this Veratrum. In another case where I used this remedy was a very important um, case of a dysmenorrhea with a cholera-like symptom, gastroenteritis, every time during on the day one of menses with a young girl about 2021. Every time she had a very severe pain in abdomen, she could not do anything. Every time she used to take injection, she used to get vomit. Many times she was admitted. Many times she has taken IV fluids, and nothing was working properly. For time being, for that menses, with the help of painkillers and all those things, she used to feel better. But every time, whenever menses has started, she started getting diarrhea and vomiting with cold sweating all over and very severe colic. I have given Veratrum to her and asked that she should repeat it whenever it has been needed. During first cycle, it was given, but within a span of 1 month, when next cycle returns, there was no more recurrence of the pain, no vomiting for next cycle. After 3-4 months, she required higher potency of Veratrum, and she recovered fantastically with the Veratrum Album. So at many levels, we can consider this remedy and we'll understand it from Alan's. The part of it we're going to learn in today's session. This is Veratrum Album from Alan's keynotes. Dr. Samuel Hahnemann was the first prover of the remedy. It is white hellebore, and this remedy is from Melanthaceae family. See, this is a remedy for extremes of ages. So for children and old people, the extremes of life, like Barataka, this is one more remedy. One should think in the extremes of life, this remedy is very, very useful. Persons who are habitually cold, so they are chilly, they are cold, their constitution is cold. Habitually cold means their constitution is cold and deficient in vital reaction. So there is deficiency of vital reaction. They lacks that confidence. They lacks that animal heat. And that's why the coldness is characteristic. Young people of a nervous sanguine temperament. Two things which are very important. Two temperaments which you used to get in Veratrum Album. First is nervous. Nervous means they're on the tip of their nerves to react to a situation. Sanguine is bloody, angry, violent, reacting in an exaggerated way, in a violent manner, sanguine. So both the things you can find, and those reactions are instantaneous reactions, specifically when happens at the mental level. These are the things which you can get both in the even in the Naxwamika. But in Naxwamika, it is not sanguine. Naxwamika, it is nervous and bilious temperament. But both remedies are close to each other. Nux is more acute than the Veratrum. Nux, there is alternate diarrhea and constipation. Veratrum, there is alternate diarrhea and constipation. Both remedies are very close at that sphere. But this is a very typical temperament which you can get over there in Veratrum Album. Adapted to the diseases with rapid sinking of the vital force, given in bold. Means what? Rapid sinking in vital force. We used to mug it up. But we never understand what it means. It means patient lands into the circulatory failure. Patient lands into cold stage. Patient lands into very severe prostration. That is suddenly sinking, rapid sinking of vital force, complete prostration, total prostration, not having the strength to get it up, collapse state. Collapse is circulatory failure. So this is the picture, and which is rapid. 2 hours before the patient was normal, and all of a sudden suddenly started getting diarrhea, dysentery, and suddenly went into shock and developed such a state. So very interesting to know all those things. Cold perspiration on forehead. This is the big given in bold letters, and this is the theme of the Veratrum album. Cold perspiration on forehead. Over entire body, it is always a tabacum. Tabacum we have learned a few days back. So shock is nothing but the circulatory failure. That heart is not able to pump properly is the shock. There is a circulatory failure. Patient lands into a circulatory failure because toxins have affected the heart and patient enters into the hypovolemia. And it is hypovolemic shock which develops over there. Veratrum, camphor, arsenic album, these are very important remedies, shock remedy. Carbovage is also one of the shock remedies where patient craves for oxygen, air. But characteristic over here is the cold perspiration on forehead. That is more important. Cold perspiration on forehead with nearly all complaints. It is not always that there should be a gastroenteritis. I have explained that case of depression with PCOD. Even during that state also there was cold perspiration on forehead. So this is what we have to understand. It is not only during gastroenteritis, it used to happen during all those phases. Cannot bear to be left alone. So they always wants company of someone. Cannot remain in alone. So cannot bear to be left alone. It persistently refuses to talk. This is this rubric which I have discussed over there in that case. They remain taciturn. They remain silent. They want someone, but they never talks with them. But they want it because of security. They feel insecure. They never tolerates the alone. They become frightened. The mental state is very important. What is the next symptom, which is very important? Thinks she is pregnant and will soon be delivered. This is interesting. It was there in my mind. How can this be happen? But this I have seen a case, and then I got ideas. This can happen with the patient. Mania we desire to cut and tear everything. See, all three manias you can get in this specific remedy. The violent mania of belladonna, the lascivious mania of Physamus, the religious mania of stramonium, all three comes together in this specific remedy. And that's why this is very typical that mania we desire to cut and tear things, everything, especially the clothes like tarantula, like belladonna, with lewd, lascivious talk, amorous talk, like Hyoscyamus, and religiousness like stramonium. So all three manias comes together to express in one individuality, and that is the Veratrum Album. Attacks of fainting from least exertion. They get fainting sensation. They suddenly falls down. Prostration, lack of vitality, the cold perspiration on head, cold sweating. Very typical that least exertion causes a fainting, like carbovage, like sulfur. There is very severe weakness. So weakness is the keynote where rapid sinking of vital force, patient loses his strength. Very typical. Sinking feeling during hemorrhage. Whenever there is bleeding, there is sinking feeling. Patient went into fainting attacks. Patient falls down. These are things. Patient gets a shock. Fainting. Trillium pendulum. In trillium pendulum, it is because of lot of hemorrhage, generally because of fibroid uterus or PPH or even during any type of hemorrhage, the patient faints in trillium pendulum. Sensation of a lump of ice on the vertex with chilliness. So there is sensation, some ice is someone have kept over there on the head and there is chilliness. It looks very close to the sepia. Sepia is also having the similar type of sensation. So that is again very important feature. Sensation as of heat and cold at the same time on the scalp. So sometimes it is complete coldness, sometimes it might be heat or cold alternately. Sensation as if brain were torn into pieces. This is one more important feature which one should not forget. That there is patient is explaining that the brain is getting absolutely torn inside my head. This is the delusion. This is the sensation. Face is pale, blue, collapsed, typical of shock state, circulatory failure. It becomes pale, it becomes blue, it becomes collapsed. Future sunken Hippocratic. So future sunken Hippocratic. Hippocratic means akra vikra, bhayanak, besur. Besur is very typical word, which you can say in Marathi. Very horrible. Red while lying down. Patient is red while lying down. But as soon as patient sits up, bends up, and immediately the painting starts, and there is a absolute paleness of the face. So becomes pale on rising up. It looks very close to the economy. So you can observe and imagine first imagine the thing and observe that how the person will going to come to your clinic. And when this happens, more commonly this happens whenever there is gastroenteritis, cholera symptoms. But it is not like that. It can happen in any time. The shock is not only because of the GI features. It might be because of anything. So you must imagine in which condition the patient will come to me, in what state the patient will come to me. Then you will not forget that the Veratrum Album phase. Thirst, thirst is intense, unquenchable. It is like aconite. The thirst is like that, intense, unquenchable for large quantities of very cold water and drinks. Very cold water. Even though they are chilly, they crave the cold water. This is interesting. That they are absolutely chilly and then still they want the cold water. It is in large quantity. Wants everything cold. It is again looks like a sequel core. So these things which we have to understand properly. Craving for acids and refreshing things. They crave the sour thing, they crave the refreshing things like juicy things in phosphoric acid. Icy coldness and icy coldness of the face, the icy coldness of the tips of nose, icy coldness of tip of nose, icy coldness of feet, icy coldness of legs, the hands, the arms, and all other many parts. So see, this type of state comes whenever there is a circulatory failure, shock state, and patient lands into such type of presentation. One must always think about this remedy. First remedy is Veratrum Album. So we have learned certain aspects of Veratrum Album in today's session along with a psychological aspect of this remedy. In tomorrow's session, we're going to finish this remedy and we'll go towards the study of group remedies. So that's all for today. Thank you being there and be there to learn the further part of the Veratrum as well as for the group studies or study of the group remedies. We're going to start from Monday. So that's all for today. Thank you and good night.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much,
sir.
sir.
Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.